everybody, Monty here for Thrive Life, and today I just want to go over a couple of basic things about the Thrive freeze-dried foods. So first of all, most of you have already seen the video, Fresher Than Fresh, but if you haven't, one of the most important things with our produce is that it's picked when it's ripe, and it's the right color, it actually has flavor, it actually has nutrition. And if you talk to a botanist or a farmer that knows, they'll tell you that most of the nutrition, the nutrients, and the flavor goes into the plant those last couple of weeks right before it's harvested. And we pick it when it's ripe, and within a couple hours it's frozen, and it's flash frozen. And then we use a freeze dryer to vacuum out the moisture, and we seal it in the can so there's no air, there's no water, and that gives it a long shelf life. Traditional produce is picked, it's the wrong color. It's green, it's rock hard. It hasn't had that last couple of weeks of nutrition and flavor added to it. So they do that so that they can ship it long distances over several weeks, and right before it gets to the grocery store they spray it with a gas that changes the color and actually speeds up the aging process, and that's why when you get it home it goes bad pretty quickly. So what we're going to do for the rest of this video is just show you a couple of things. What do you do with the freeze-dried corn? What do you do with the freeze-dried peas? How do you use it in cooking? Sort of get you introduced to it. Okay? So you go over to the shelf and grab something. So we're going to grab some zucchini. And you just take a pan, put it on high heat, get a little bit of water in the bottom, and you know, it doesn't have to be a whole lot, just enough to cover it. This is way too much water for the zucchini, but just for the demonstration I just want you to see you just need enough to cover it. So this is a lot more water. I'm going to take a little bit out actually. So you just need enough to cover the zucchini and get it boiling. And you're going to want to make sure you flip these so that everything's fully coated with the water. And so I'm just going to look at it like a hot tub of flavor. We've got the hot water in there. The zucchini is just splashing around, and to make sure that it gets wet. And that way it is refreshing. We're bringing it back to life. Because when we pick it fresh. We wash it, we chop it, we freeze dry it. It takes usually about 16 hours to freeze dry. Bring it down to 50 below zero. That's the sweet spot where Celsius and Fahrenheit are the same, 50 below zero. And then we vacuum out the moisture. It takes about 16 hours of being frozen and vacuuming to completely dry. It's technically about 99, 98% of the moisture is out. But that freeze dries it. And that is essential and sure to make sure that it ends up with a 25-year shelf life. And then after you open a can of the Thrive freeze-dried zucchini, it has a 1-year shelf life. So you want to make sure you use it up before that. After a year, it'll start to get a spongy texture, and it'll still be edible as long as you cook it at over 120 degrees. But around our house, the food is so good it doesn't last that long. And then one of the fun things about zucchini from Thrive Life compared to other sources is one of the jokes in Eastern Washington is if you leave your car door unlocked, what happens is you come back and it's full of zucchini. So if you have the zucchini sitting on your shelf and someone blesses you with a bunch of zucchini, you don't have to worry about the Thrive zucchini going bad. You can eat that zucchini that you just got from the garden or from your friend, and the Thrive zucchini will stay safe and delicious on the shelf, even with the lid open for up to a year, but 25 years before it's open. So it just takes a couple minutes. Most vegetables are ready in about 2 minutes. We say 2 minutes and then taste it. Some of these larger pieces might take a little bit longer to hydrate, but really, you see how we started out with just enough water to cover it. We're keeping it stirring. And you can see what I talked about with the green beans before is these spots that are a little bit whiter, that is the part that still needs to refresh. And then you can throw some Chef's Choice seasoning or butter or olive oil in there. If you like that taste of the oil at this point when there's just a little bit of water left, that's when you would want to splash that oil in there. And so you can just keep that going just like this and serve it up. So at this point you could just eat it. It's ready to go. But if you wanted to saute it, then this is the point where you could throw in the oil and the seasoning. So it was only available for 1 month, the Thrive garlic. So right now we don't have freeze-dried garlic. You want to make sure you request that as a product and in your back office. But when you get some freeze-dried garlic, you can just throw that in with the butter. Start to brown that a little bit. And if you don't have freeze-dried garlic, you can use dehydrated or other freshly chopped, or even the granulated that comes in the jar. That's one of my favorites when you have refrigeration available. And then we'll take the zucchini and toss that back in the pan. And this is one of my favorite ways to do zucchini, is just with a little bit of butter, a little bit of sauteed garlic, just for that aromatic flavor. And this is really good just like this. As my son always says, chef's choice, the only seasoning you'll ever need. Just put a little bit of that on there. And this is ready to plate up. Of course, if you were cooking it for dinner, you would use a larger bit. So if you had a cup of zucchini, you'd use 3/4 cup of water on high for the slam cooking method until that water is absorbed. And then you would, if you like the oil saute and you want to have it golden brown, then you would add a little bit of oil and go for that. But if you're trying to cut fats out of your diet, then as soon as it was refreshed, then you would just serve it up. Sauteed zucchini. So this is Monty Reed for the basics on how to cook freeze-dried zucchini from Thrive Life. Have a great day.